The fate of party control in Congress is still hanging in the air tonight.
Live look at the U.S. Capitol building now. It's been 3 days since the midterm elections. Votes are being securely counted, and seats in the House of Representatives and the Senate are being taken. But many key races are still too close to call and remain undecided tonight. This is a live look at CNN's result tracker now. You can see both major political parties have been making gains. Democrats are filling 199 seats in the House. Republicans have 211. A party needs 218 to control the House. Now to a real nail-biter, and that's each party just needs a couple of seats away from a majority in the Senate. You can see Democrats hold 48 seats tonight. Republicans hold 49. Republicans need 2 more seats for a total of 51 for majority control. Democrats just need to get to 50, with Vice President Kamala Harris casting tie-breaking votes. 3 states, Arizona, Georgia, and Nevada, will ultimately decide who controls the Senate.
Now in Arizona, Democratic candidate Senator Mark Kelly currently has nearly 52% of the vote. Republican Blake Masters has just over 46%. About 80% of the votes are in, with roughly 500,000 ballots still to be counted. And in Nevada, Republican candidate Adam Laxalt leading with 49% of the vote against sitting Democratic Senator Catherine Cortez Masto, who has 48%. 88% of those votes are in, so we are getting close to a winner. And finally, a very close race in Georgia has been called and will now head to a runoff December 6th. That means an additional election will determine the winner, since neither candidate received more than 50% of that threshold. Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock earned 49.4% of the vote, while Republican candidate Herschel Walker got 48.5%. That's with 99% of the votes in tonight. So again, we're going to have to wait until after Thanksgiving for that runoff to decide the winner and potentially which party will control the Senate.
And you can scan this QR code you see on your screen right there with your phone. That'll take you to our Beyond the Podium section of our website. We've compiled every election story all in one place. You can also see our coverage of the balance of power in Washington, as well as local election results, by clicking the orange banner at the top of the homepage. And a live look at the White House now, where the Department of Justice plans to appeal after a Texas federal judge blocked the president's plan to forgive student loan debt. Now, the judge ruled the program is unconstitutional. The plan was already on hold as a federal court in St. Louis considers an effort by 6 GOP-led states to block it. Now, the debt forgiveness plan would cancel up to $20,000 in student loan debt for people making less than $125,000. So far, 22 million borrowers have pre-applied.
Well, Thanksgiving celebrations are going to cost you more this year, with inflation rising and grocery prices up 12.4%. Experts say shoppers are changing up their menus as a result. Our Mamie Bod joins us live now from a nonprofit free grocery store. And Mamie, what are they seeing as the holidays approach?
Well, the free food store you see here has helped at least 650 families this week. The executive director tells me as the Thanksgiving holiday approaches, more people are coming in through these doors. With God's grace, it's hoping to help 1,000 families this year with side dishes, but it wants to help more, so it's asking the public to make that possible by donating gift cards.
Giving them a gift card so they could get some kind of meat item on their Thanksgiving. It might not be the traditional that we're always used to, the turkey, but if they have something, if they could get a chicken, if they could get even pork chops or something that is they could enjoy with their family.
Now, Mamie, what are economists saying about all this?
They say it's not just food, it's also energy costs. So think about fuel and also travel expenses. Now, coming up at 6:30, we'll be hearing more from economists, but also how these challenging times are impacting how people celebrate. Back to you.
Mamie, thanks. And with rising food costs, many of our neighbors are struggling to put food on the table. So join us for the Holiday Help Out Food Drive next week. We want to make sure no one goes hungry during the season of giving. And you can help needy families right here in the Miami Valley by dropping off non-perishable food items at these locations next Friday through Sunday.
Live look in Jacksonville, Florida now. Hurricane Nicole responsible for at least 5 deaths tonight. Nicole hit Florida's east coast overnight as the first U.S. hurricane to strike in November in nearly 4 decades. The Category 1 storm weakened to a tropical storm, then a depression, knocking out power to thousands, pushing buildings to near collapse, and flooding the coast. Now, this comes around a month and a half after Hurricane Ian devastated the southern United States.
Well, what a difference a day can make. Yesterday was absolutely gorgeous. Unfortunately, that's no longer the story here in the Miami Valley, and not going to be, it doesn't look like anytime soon.
Yeah, not only the rain through most of the day, but we're also just talking about that cold air that's going to be taking over for us too. So this is a look at what's going on currently. We do have rainfall now pushing off to the east. Now this is from Nicole, the remnants of Nicole heading out of the area. The reason why it's heading off to the east is because we have a very strong cold front pushing its way through. And that's going to be ushering in that much colder air. Bigger picture here, you can see a lot of moisture. Much needed rain fell across much of the area, but this will continue to head its way off to the east. Temperatures are going to be really falling. Notice it's 38 in Chicago, still sitting at 57 here in Dayton with 50s across the board overall. We have 54 in Bellefontaine, 52 in Greenville, 52 in Richmond. And through the overnight hours, we do start to see those temperatures fall. Cloudy skies dropping into the mid 30s, northwesterly wind 10 to 15 miles per hour. And then it's just staying cold. We also have snow in the forecast. Going to talk about how much we're expecting of that coming up here in just a little bit.
Natalie, thanks. President Biden attending the United Nations Climate Summit in Egypt today. He used his speech to call on other nations to do more to fight climate change.
If we're going to win this fight, every major emitter nation needs to align with the 1.5 degrees. We can no longer plead ignorance to the consequences of our actions or continue to repeat our mistakes.
President Biden says the U.S. is on track to achieve its goal of reducing emissions by 50 to 52% below 2005 levels by 2030. The president also announced new environmental measures. The U.S. will plan to slash methane emissions from the oil and gas sectors by 87% compared to 2005 levels. He also supports new early warning systems for extreme weather disasters in Africa and a deal to back new solar and wind projects in Egypt. Well, Dave Chappelle expected to host Saturday Night Live this weekend, but that appearance is said to be causing some controversy among some of the show's crew. Megan's at the Now Desk. What's happening?
Well, Adam, there are some reports that some SNL writers are staging a boycott, all related to comments that Chappelle has made about the transgender community in the past. However, Chappelle's rep is pushing back on that report tonight. On Wednesday, the New York Post, citing an anonymous source, reported that writers on the show were going to sit out this episode. But Chappelle's rep says that they've seen nothing to support that information, and instead the writers provided more than 40 sketches for consideration and collaboration. This would be Chappelle's third time hosting.
Today is Veterans Day, a day to celebrate everyone who served in the U.S. Armed Forces. To commemorate the holiday, the Vice President and First Lady took to Arlington National Cemetery to participate in a wreath-laying ceremony at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
We also remember those who gave their lives for our nation. We remember our service members who have not yet returned and their families. And we reaffirm our commitment to bring home all those missing in action.
Now, Harris stepped in to lay the wreath for President Biden, who's in Egypt as part of a 6-day foreign policy trip. Today marks 69 years of observance of Veterans Day, a national holiday.
The Miami Valley also holding several Veterans Day commemorations. In Miamisburg, a ceremony was held at Trinity Church this morning. One veteran says we owe everything to our service members.
Without the military, the soldier, the Marine, the airman, the Navy, we wouldn't be staying here talking about this. So they provided everything for us and still do.
The city of Centerville also honoring those who protect and preserve our freedoms with a special ceremony at the Veterans Memorial at Stubbs Park. The rain didn't put a damper on that special event.
It's about everyday Americans, ordinary people who have committed and sacrificed tremendously for our great nation. It's also about celebrating the commitment of our great nation. In spite of the rain and in spite of the kind of the chill in the air, it was warm and dry within the tent. And honestly, the spirit of what Veterans Day is about just was more prominent in spite of the rain.
The colonel adds that meeting veterans across decades of service was especially meaningful for her, and that she loves meeting new members of the military because they're just as enthusiastic as the generations before.
And at Fairfield North Elementary School, a Veterans Day assembly honoring our service members. Genesis Narrows shows us how these students celebrate the meaning and importance of Veterans Day.
It's a packed cafeteria here at Fairfield North Elementary as kindergarten through 5th grade students are celebrating our veterans who served. The program included kids singing and speeches to thank veterans. A handful of veterans were in attendance. They spoke to students about their time in the service.
I had a speech and I had a moment of silence for all of the veterans that died serving our country.
It was kind of overwhelming a little bit because the kids really paid attention and really appreciated what we had to say. So yeah, it was very, very, very sweet.
After the ceremony at the elementary school, Fairfield High School held a district luncheon to honor veterans who work in the district. Fairfield City Schools has 28 veterans on staff. Reporting in Fairfield, I'm Jenna Cisneros. Back to you.
Live look in downtown Tip City right now. One of the first tree lighting ceremonies in the Miami Valley. Kicking off tonight, the community tree lighting taking place at the Zion Lutheran Church until 7:30 tonight. It's a free event for the whole family. You can sing, dance along to some festive Christmas tunes, and cheer on Santa when he arrives. The tree will be lit at 7 p.m., so you still have some time to get to downtown Tip City to watch it all happen.
The top issues attracting voters to the polls revealed tonight. After the break, what drove groups to turn in their ballots and how they all voted.
And a busy night of sports in the area. Coming up, a preview of the third round of the high school football playoffs.
Plus, I'm tracking the cold air, Nicole, and snow in the forecast. That's all coming up. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
That's not snow, it's hail blanketing the road. And it's not in the mountains, this is central Texas, about 60 miles northwest of Austin. And check out our meteorologist Chase Thomason giving his forecast in Salt Lake City while snowboarding at Solitude Mountain. That's not easy. A tip of our cap to Chase as well as the photographer.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on Instagram.
Well, days after the midterm elections, we're still going through exit polls and counting votes to break down how people cast their ballots. And there are a few major topics that drove people to the polls.
It turns out that a lot of young women actually did show up in this election because of the perceived threat on our bodily autonomy.
So coming up tonight at 6:30, we'll break down the polling data as well as which groups showed up and what's next to test why they showed up.
Well, the rain from Nicole has finally made its way off to the east. We have some colder air that's settling into the area. Here's a look at radar right now. So the showers have pushed off to the east, but here's a look at how much rainfall we've seen. This is as estimated by radar. Some very high totals off to the east. In fact, Xenia, radar estimating 1.3 inches of rainfall near the Xenia area. Further off to the north, Troy, 0.3 of an inch. Not a whole lot, but again, anything was welcome at this point. About 0.8 of an inch in Dayton. Official report was 0.39 inches at the airport. But again, much welcome across the area. That heads off to the east. We stay cloudy, 30s expected overnight. And then heading into the late morning hours, we're going to see snow showers, some heavier snowfall at times that we're going to be monitoring. Can't rule out some minor accumulations on grassy and elevated surfaces.
Natalie, thanks. Well, if you've had trouble finding your diabetes medicine lately, you are not alone. Courtney Wheaton explains that there's more than one reason for a shortage of this drug.
We visited Hart Pharmacy in Price Hill to find out if their workers were experiencing a shortage of Ozempic.
We've had to either wait until we could get it in, so they just kind of missed some therapy days, or we had the doctors change it to other medications because they called around to other pharmacies, couldn't get it at other pharmacies. Of course, that's something we would suggest, but if it's not available anywhere, then we have to call the doctor and see if they want to change it to another medication.
A social media fad may be driving up demand. The shortage may be linked to healthy people asking doctors for the drug for weight loss. Zoe Witt is living with insulin-dependent diabetes. She's also an activist with MAD, a network that secures hard-to-come-by medicine.
There is a lot of anxiety in the community right now over the Ozempic shortage.
Priestley can't confirm if this new weight loss trend is adding to the shortage.
It's just one of those things where it might just be Ozempic right now, whether it's due to just doctors prescribing it more because they see the commercials, or if it's more patients are taking it because it's covered by more insurance companies.
And that was Courtney Wheaton reporting. Russia says it is completely withdrawn from a key southern Ukrainian city. That's Kherson. It's one of 4 regions that Russia illegally annexed over a month ago. This comes as Ukrainian forces have reportedly taken back some villages and towns in the region during their counterattack. And the U.S. is reportedly providing Ukraine with more supplies as the war with Russia continues. The U.S. buying 100,000 South Korean artillery rounds, sending them to Ukraine. Defense officials say the deal would help with weapon stockpile pressures. Last week, officials said Ukraine was using as many as 7,000 rounds of ammunition a day. Russia is firing as much as 20,000 a day. All right, so just days after its rollout, Twitter is suspending its $8 verification option today. Megan's at the Now Desk. What happened?
Yeah, Adam, that option has just disappeared for some users. This is after an influx in imposter accounts was reported following its rollout on Wednesday. Imposter accounts popped up for several people and companies, including LeBron James, Rudy Giuliani, Nintendo, and even Tesla, which of course is owned by Musk. Now, the suspension of the service also comes just hours after Twitter said that it would add an official label to accounts determined to be legitimate. Since buying Twitter last month, Elon Musk has already made dramatic changes, including firing top executives, laying off half of the company's staff, and forming a content moderation council to review account reinstatements. Now, amid all the changes, several advertisers have since paused their presence on Twitter, including Pfizer, General Motors, and United Airlines.
A story now from our partners at the Dayton Business Journal. A new Chipotle will be opening at a Fairborn shopping center. The eatery expected to have a Chipotle lane where customers can place their orders online or through the app and then drive through the lane for pickup. Construction will start this month, and the restaurant chain hopes to start welcoming customers next summer. And we have more information at Dayton247now.com. You can find that story and others like it under the Dayton Business Journal heading. That is in the News tab. Well, it is the 3rd round of the high school football playoffs, but football isn't the only sport on the agenda tonight. Matt Digby explains.
Hard to believe we've already reached the 3rd round of the high school football playoffs. Several games to keep an eye on involving area teams both tonight and tomorrow. And remember, they are at neutral sites. Northmont High School is where Centerville and Springfield will play each other. This is a rematch from the regular season when Springfield won at Centerville on their way to a GWAC title. Over at Xenia's Doug Adams Stadium, that's where Milton Union will hope to stay unbeaten as they take on a Brookville team coming off a big win last week at Northeastern. Bellbrook is the site for the Region 12 semifinal in Division III between Tippecanoe and Western Brown, and also several more games tonight. Fairfield is where Valley View is headed to take on Madeira, and then Coldwater is making the trip up to Lima. The Cavaliers will face Liberty Center. More games to come tomorrow. The Division 6 and 7 regional semifinals. Also more scores tonight. Waynesville girls soccer will go for a Division 2 state championship as they take on Copley over at Lower.com Field in Columbus. And there is also college basketball. The Dayton men hoping to move to 2-0. They take on SMU coming off their big win on Monday night over Lindenwood. That'll do it for sports. I'm Matt Digby.
Well, I hope that they dress warmly and bring the blankets because it's going to be a chilly one to sit out for some games tonight.
Definitely. We could already feel those temperatures starting to fall. We have those northwesterly winds starting to build into the area. So, yeah, it's going to be cold.
At least the rain, though, is kind of on its way out.
Yeah, and it's going to be snow tomorrow instead.
Perfect.
Right? This is what we're tracking in our forecast because we do have a chance for snow tomorrow and just a really cold forecast overall. So upper 30s tomorrow, hanging out in the 40s and 30s pretty much all through next week. And with that, we even have a couple more chances of some wintry precipitation too. But as far as the longer term forecast, this is from the Climate Prediction Center. Below normal temperatures anticipated through at least November 17th to the 21st. So through this weekend into next week, plan on it being pretty chilly. Going to have a look at that 7-day in just a bit.
Natalie, thanks. Veterans Day is today, of course, and the Miami Valley has no shortage of ways to commemorate our heroes. And still ahead, one of the big events you and your family can participate in. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
the Dayton 24/7 Now News app, brought to you by the Jeff Schmidt Auto Group.
Well, today is Veterans Day, and there are still lots of ways that you can celebrate our local veterans. Alex King shares one community event that you and your family can take part in.
It's Veterans Day, and there are so many different ways you can honor those who served. The Dayton VA Medical Center hosting its parade tomorrow morning starting at 10. You can see there's a sign here outside of the front gates, and it's quite empty right now, but tomorrow is going to be a very different story. There will also be a resource fair, B-25 flyover, food trucks, classic cars, of course military vehicles, and entertainment like live music. Santa and Mrs. Claus are even making an early appearance. It's a bit rainy today, but keep in mind if you plan on attending tomorrow, it's going to be cold out here. We may even see some snow, so be sure to layer up. And you can find more details about Veterans Day ceremonies on our website, Dayton247now.com.
And if you're honoring or remembering a veteran this weekend, we'd love to have you share your stories with us. This is Homer Nicely, a World War II vet, and his wife Virginia. Thank you for your service. Renee, a member of Homer's family, shared this photo with us. Thank you for sending that in. And we'd love to see your photos and hear your stories as well. Veterans and families, if you have something you would like to share, you can scan that QR code. It'll take you right to our Chime In page. You can upload then those photos and videos right to us. You might even see them live here on the air.
Well, cold air making its way in already. You could already feel a difference if you step outside. And we talked about snow, kind of wanted to look a little bit more into that. So we'll be in the 30s through most of the day. By the late morning hours, this is about 8 a.m., we're talking about some snow showers. It's looking more and more likely that this is really what's going to be happening for tomorrow. So some heavier snow showers in the forecast through the afternoon hours. With some heavier bursts of snow, we will see some limited visibility, and this will be pushing out by the afternoon, evening, about 3-4 p.m. But with temperatures in the 30s, for the most part, the ground is going to be warm. It's going to be really hard for the snow to stick, but some grassy elevated surfaces getting maybe a dusting or a coating of snow, certainly not out of the question with this storm system. So we're going to be watching that for tomorrow. Take your time on the roads just in case with those 30s tomorrow, a few flurries even on Sunday, and then it was just like a flip the switch.
Nice little 30-degree drop here all of a sudden, huh?
Yeah, it's going to be cold tomorrow, so bundle up.
All right, Natalie, thanks. Thanks for being with us tonight. Remember, you can always connect with us on social media. We are headed over to Fox 45 next. We hope you join us there.